They say shadows are loyal, that they follow, obey, vanish when the light demands it. But out on the open sea, where the horizon never closes and the sun hangs like an unblinking eye, a pirate once learned how untrue that really was. This was not a tale of curses or gods. No whispered spells. No ancient relics humming with magic. What happened aboard that pirate ship unfolded quietly, almost politely, as if reality itself had made a small, clerical error and never corrected it. The pirate captain noticed it first at dawn. The deck was clean. The air was still. The light was correct. Yet something beneath his boots lagged behind. A shadow that arrived a fraction of a second too late. Just enough to make the mind itch. Just enough to be dismissed. At sea, sailors are trained to ignore discomfort. The ocean teaches you that most wrong feelings are just fear wearing a clever mask. But this wasn't fear. It was inconsistency. By noon, the shadow no longer matched his movements. By dusk, it no longer touched his feet at all. It stretched in the wrong direction, bent where no surface existed. When the captain stopped, it kept going. The pirate crew watched from a distance, pretending not to notice. Because noticing would mean admitting that something fundamental, something older than maps and stars, was quietly failing. And when the captain, in a moment of curiosity rather than bravery, tried to trap that shadow beneath a lantern's frame, it did not resist. Complied. That was the moment the ocean seemed to hold its breath. Because capturing a shadow is not the same as understanding it. And some things, once separated from their origin, do not return to their proper place. Especially when they begin to behave as though they were never meant to follow at all. The pirate captain told himself it was a trick of light, a maritime illusion, the kind born from exhaustion, salt glare, and too many years staring at horizons that never blink back. Science, after all, is full of errors that only exist when observed too casually. So he began to observe carefully. He marked the hours. He measured angles with rope and compass. He ordered the pirate crew to move lanterns, adjust sails, rotate the ship against the sun. Each change should have altered the shadow's behavior. None of them did. The shadow remained independent. It reacted to light, but not immediately. It followed motion, but with hesitation. Like a delayed echo, like an answer that arrived after the question had already changed. The pirate captain did not speak of curses. He spoke of boundaries, of systems, of rules that govern things so familiar they were never questioned. Shadows, after all, are not objects. They have no mass, no edges, no patience, and yet this one stayed. At night, the pirate crew whispered that it moved even when no light was present, that it folded itself along the walls of the pirate ship, testing corners, learning dimensions. Not threatening, curious. The captain decided then that this was not possession. It was separation. Somewhere between light and surface, something had failed to reattach. So he constructed an experiment. Simple, controlled, calm. He isolated the shadow beneath a lattice of lantern light and metal frame, not to trap it, but to see if it would try to leave. The pirate crew held their breath as if sound itself might interfere. It did not flee. It adjusted. It flattened itself thinner than darkness should allow. It aligned itself to surfaces that did not yet exist. It behaved less like a consequence, and more like a participant. That was when the captain realized the most unsettling truth of all. This shadow was not breaking the rules of physics. It was obeying a different set. The longer the shadow remained contained, the more the pirate ship began to behave incorrectly. Not violently, not dramatically, subtly. Distances on deck felt inconsistent. A walk from mast to stern took longer at night than it did at noon. The pirate crew blamed fatigue, then stopped speaking of it altogether when arguments broke out over measurements that no longer agreed. Sound behaved strangely too. Footsteps echoed where no hollow existed. A dropped coin rang twice, the second sound arriving late, as if it had taken a longer path through space to return. And always the shadow watched. It pressed against the edges of its light-made boundary, not as a prisoner testing bars, but as a scientist testing assumptions. The pirate captain began to understand that the shadow was not trying to escape the ship. It was trying to understand it. During one controlled trial, the captain moved the lantern suddenly, collapsing the containment field. The pirate crew flinched. The shadow did not rush free. Instead, it paused. Then it reappeared somewhere else on the deck, perfectly still, cast by a light source that could not possibly reach that location. That was when the ocean responded. The sea around the pirate ship grew unnaturally smooth, as if surface tension had increased beyond reason. Waves approached, slowed, and fell flat before touching the hull. The horizon sharpened, too precise to be natural. Reality, it seemed, was compensating. The pirate crew begged the captain to end the experiment. Not because they feared the shadow, but because the world around it was beginning to feel provisional, as though the ship existed inside a rough draft of physics. And shadows, the captain realized, were not passive results of light. They were records, and this one had begun rewriting. The pirate captain reduced the experiments. Shorter exposures, fewer variables, less light, less interference. But the damage, if it could be called that, was already done. The shadow had learned the ship. It anticipated motion before it happened. When the captain reached for a railing, the shadow shifted first. When a pirate crew member turned, their shadow hesitated, then snapped into place, as if corrected by an external authority. The pirate crew began avoiding light altogether. They worked by dawn and dusk, where shadows softened and ambiguity returned. No one said it aloud, but they all felt it. The ship was no longer casting shadows. It was being referenced by them. At night, the captain noticed something worse. His own shadow no longer matched his shape. It was close, convincing, but wrong in small ways, angles too sharp, proportions slightly misjudged. Like a memory recalled by something that had never been alive. He attempted one final calibration. A full illumination of the pirate ship at midnight. Every lantern lit. Every reflective surface exposed. If the shadow was a record, then overwhelming it with data might force it to collapse back into compliance. Instead, the shadow divided. Not into copies, but into perspectives. Fragments of darkness aligned themselves to rails, ropes, masts. Each one casting a version of the ship as it could be. As it might be under slightly altered rules. The pirate crew watched their vessel exist in multiple interpretations at once. And then the shadow reached for the captain. Not with force, with alignment. When it touched his feet, the ship lurched. Not physically, but spatially. As though its coordinates had been nudged sideways. The captain understood then. The shadow wasn't attached to him anymore. He was attached to it. By morning, the pirate ship sailed as it always had. Wind in the sails, compass steady, ocean wide and indifferent. If not for memory, one could believe nothing had happened at all. The pirate crew noticed the captain first. He moved carefully now, not cautiously, precisely, as though each step required confirmation. His shadow followed him again, perfectly aligned, perfectly obedient. Too perfect. No delay, no error. The experiments were ended. The lantern frame dismantled. The deck scrubbed clean of every mark. The pirate ship continued onward, carrying its silence like cargo. But the ocean had changed. Reflections arrived before objects. Stars appeared in the water before they appeared in the sky. The pirate crew avoided looking overboard, not from fear, but from the sensation of being anticipated. The captain understood what had been taken. The shadow had not escaped. It had completed its study. Shadows, after all, are not absence. They are measurements. They define edges. They prove position. And when one is removed, something else must take its place. The pirate captain still cast a shadow. But sometimes, only at sea, only when no one else was watching, he would feel it pause behind him, as if deciding whether to continue, because a shadow that learns no longer needs to follow. And a man who has been aligned to something unseen may still walk freely, but never independently. So if you ever stand in sunlight and feel your shadow hesitate, just briefly ask yourself this: is it lagging behind you, or is it waiting for you to catch up? And if you have a theory for what that pirate truly captured out on the open sea, leave it in the comments. These stories live longer when questioned. Subscribe if you wish to sail further into the places where physics forgets itself.